So what's the deal with story mode in Baldur's Gate? That's what we're going to check in with in this Tactica vlog. One of the many different ways to explore this game. When we talk about replayability, BG1, Siege, 2, and Throne, there is infinite replayability. Now, absolutely no spoilers. As with all of the Baldur's Gate videos that I've been pushing up to my channel here under the BG playlist, I don't know where you are in your journey. You might be a new player. You might have made a couple of runs through. You're trying different character classes. I want you to discover what you need to discover. But we play through the game 3 or 4 times with any character class. You play through 3 or 4 times just to capture the nuances of the story, to understand the full scope of the game if you're playing through the entire series. Then we layer over that all the different side quests that you can accomplish. Some you might know and choose to avoid. Others you're constantly discovering. Then we layer over the different character classes that you can play, the different NPCs that you can take in your party. Are we talking about a solo run? Are we talking about a no reload run? Suddenly there is a lot to do in the game and a lot to experience and try out. So the place with story mode, in my opinion, is really twofold. Story mode essentially makes you God mode. It adds all resistances, regeneration, bonuses. You pretty much hit something and you kill it, or 3 or 4 hits and you kill it. It makes you immortal. Nothing can hurt you in the game. Now, you still gain experience and you still level up and you can still utilize magic items and potions and all the different effects, but you can't be killed and you quickly conquer everything. So where would we use story mode? Because it might kind of rob the game a little bit depending on when you play it and where you bring it in. So there are certain points in BG1 and the start of BG2 that you're going to run through over and over and over and over again. It's kind of like the intro to the game. You have to make your way through it before you can then open up and explore the entire game world. Well, if I've been through something a million times and I know what's going on and I've explored everything, maybe I just want to blast through it very quickly. So without any spoilers, at the beginning of BG2, you have to make it through a dungeon. I've been through that dungeon countless times. You have to go through that dungeon every time you play the game. Sometimes often what I'll do is just click on story mode so I can blast through it as quickly as possible and get to the actual start of the game. So there might be places or pieces here and there where if you've played through the game numerous times, you want to just get a little boost and make it through. The other way to use story mode, and we're going to put Icewind Dale aside. They share the same engine, they're the same mechanics, but story mode in Icewind Dale is vastly different than the BG series. Sometimes you want a relaxed playthrough where you can just kind of go on autopilot and maybe you want to explore the different NPC interactions. Baldur's Gate is primarily a combat engine. You're there to fight monsters drawn from the Dungeons and Dragons mythology, the D&D world, and combine party tactics. Yes, there's a story going on. Yes, there's quests. Yes, there's leveling up. But sometimes you might want to completely shift and take a break from the combat. You can't not fight, but break from the combat and focus on the storyline. Focus on the different plots. Explore all those areas and not have to worry about getting killed or something that's not the most optimal. So after you've played through a number of runs of the game, after you've gotten the story and you've tried different character classes and you've experimented with different things, maybe you want to go kind of relaxed mode. Maybe you want to play through the game. And that's when I would click on sometimes. Although much of the game for me is the different tactics and trying to pull off crazy combos and things like that at this point. But there was a time where I wanted to focus purely on story. I had hacked and slashed through everything numerous times. I know what's behind that door. I know how to beat it. I know what to do. The discovery wasn't there. So I can click into story mode, blast through those, and focus on some of the other elements of the game without having to worry. Now, you can toggle story mode on and off, and I would leave with this consideration. BG follows the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rule set. What that means is a lot of things in AD&D you weren't meant to fight. We're kind of jumping to role-playing for a second, RPG. You weren't meant to fight at certain levels. There's no such thing as challenge rating. D&D Modern makes things balanced where you're probably going to win the fight. Even if you have some less than average dice rolls, you're probably going to win the fight because the players always win. AD&D, you had to kind of know in the moment and see what was going on and realize, I can't win this fight yet, so maybe I want to fight it at a different time. I can't do this quest right now. It's not like things unlock depending on the level. You can go anywhere and try to do anything. There was also a lot of combinations where certain encounters that you approach in Baldur's Gate, spell resistance, the use of spells, the use of buffs, the use of debuffs, immunities, you need to master some of those and tactically apply some of those. It can be a little bit intimidating. That's also the rewarding part and the fun of the game when you've beaten certain iconic D&D monsters. But there could be a time or a place where you're like, Fritz, I've hit the reload again and again and again. I've tried the combos again and again and again, and I just can't beat this encounter. I can't make it past this point in the game. Well, are you ready for it? Are you too low level? Do you not have the correct NPCs? What's the state of your party? Are you utilizing potions and buffs? What's your spell mastery like? BG1, spells are important. There's one or two fights where they're helpful, but you could run through the entire series of BG1 without any real spell support or spell slinging, spell mastery, because it's a lower level AD&D game. Siege is a different story. You make it through into BG2, and now the spells pack a punch. You're talking about higher level spells, 5th level and above spells across all character classes. You need to have that mastered. So I say within that framework, it can be a little bit challenging. You could, it's your game, it's your playthrough. You could click into story mode for that moment, fight your way through, and then unclick it. I would recommend not doing that, not robbing yourself of that glory, of that victory. Possibly, maybe change the sliding scale of the difficulty of the game. Likewise, if things become super easy, you could increase the difficulty. You make that big jump from BG rules to actual core AD&D rules, and it is a vastly different game from that perspective. So this idea of story mode, lots of different ways to utilize it. I would say utilizing it as a tool to continue to explore the game, but I think it comes after a couple of playthroughs. I think it comes through after you've explored a bunch of different character classes and when you've hit up most of the quests, and now you want to focus on that quest NPC side and not have to worry about combat, not have to worry about fighting so much.